Hello, everybody, from day 2 of Bengals Training Camp. Chris Renkel, Richard Skinner here from Local 12. Skinny, I'd love to talk about everything that happened at practice, some guys that look great, but of course we got to start with the guy who once again didn't practice, Ja'Marr Chase. We were told it was a Veterans Day off yesterday. He'd be available today. He was not available today.
Yeah, he was available. He just didn't participate in practice and didn't even warm up. Even when the team was stretching, he didn't even take part in the stretch. And so, listen, his head coach, I think, is trying to protect him in this situation, which is, it's a hold-in. I mean, it's no more simple than that. I don't know what he thinks he's going to gain from this for this reason. Let's just take through the contract situation. This is the last year of his initial 4-year rookie contract. He's making $4.9 million guaranteed, 3.6 of that, which was a roster bonus, all right? It's not what he's going to eventually get. Next year, they picked up his 5th-year option. He is already guaranteed $21.8 million for next year. You know, that doesn't mean extensions can't get done before that, and he sees what his buddy Justin Jefferson got. He saw the guarantees that he got, the biggest non-quarterback contract in NFL history. Got $80 million plus guaranteed money, $88 million guaranteed. You see what your buddy's getting, I think you want that too, but listen, the Bengals don't like paying guaranteed money other than signing bonuses to non-quarterbacks. They paid Joe Burrow. I just don't know how far they're going to go to Ja'Marr Chase, and I think that's where you see Mike Brown made the point the other day at the media luncheon, we're going to bend over backwards. That doesn't mean they're going to reach exactly what that side wants. And so where does that bend go to? And at what point does Ja'Marr's camp go, okay, that's good enough? Or maybe it doesn't, and maybe that's why this is getting the ball rolling along that regard. The thing is, I just don't know what he can accomplish with this, Chris, because we're not at a breaking point. It's not like if this deal doesn't get done today, he's still under contract for 2 more years, this and next. So we're not at that point where, one side has to cave because it's the last day of the negotiation process. We're not even close to that. So I don't know what's being gained right now by this, to be honest.
I wanted to ask because this is still, as you said, multiple years in the future before this has to get done. Obviously, Ja'Marr wants it done now, and he has every right to want that.
No question.
You could go out, get hurt tomorrow,
That's
and then
right.
that payday's gone. If you had to put a thumb on it right now with what Mike Brown has said with what Ja'Marr is doing, are they too far apart to reconcile at this point, or do you think that they could meet in the middle at some point?
I think eventually, but I think Ja'Marr's side's the one that's going to probably have to cave on the guaranteed money. I do think the Bengals with Ja'Marr Chase, and Mike Brown made a point of his importance. And if you want to rank our guys 1-2 in the organization, Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase would be 1-2. They know that.
Right.
I don't think, though, they're going to go to the foot. If we're talking Justin Jefferson guaranteed money, you're not going to come close to Justin Jefferson guaranteed money. If you're talking, in a range that maybe the Bengals aren't comfortable with, but it is at least something, 50 mil, 60 mil guaranteed, something along those lines. I'm just spitballing figures there. Then maybe they do that. But let's not forget, and this is a much lesser contract. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Von Bell did not re-sign here because the Carolina Panthers gave him guaranteed money in year 2. He's being paid right now, even though he's on the Bengals practice field, he's being paid $6 million by the Carolina Panthers because they guaranteed him money in year 2. That's just not something the Bengals do. They gave AJ Green a little bit of AJ Green a little bit of guaranteed money in his contract extension in 15, but it wasn't significant. It wasn't this Justin Jefferson. This Justin Jefferson deal set a weird precedent. Here's the other thing. The Bengals are really steadfast in the way they do business. If you cave on the Ja'Marr Chase deal and you say, okay, we're going to give you all the guaranteed money, well, the next guy that comes along, what do you think he's going to ask for? And you're going to go, well, you gave him that. Give me, again, there's tit for tat. It won't be in that ballpark, but hey, I deserve guaranteed money too. And so when you set that precedent, I think you set yourself up for a lot of headaches.
The question now becomes, because I think we both agree, Ja'Marr will be out there practicing at some point. How long does this hold?
It's a great question. I joked with some people today that cover the team. I said, I'm going to set the date at August 28th, right after the final cut-down day. It gives him enough time to ramp up to get ready. I mean, as Zac Taylor said to us today, he said, he's a freak, and he is. He is literally a guy that if you brought him to the stadium at 12:55 on September the 9th without doing anything, go play, he'd go 8 for 120. I mean, he really would. He's that kind of a player, that kind of an athlete. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But, I mean, how long does this get kicked down the road? Because, again, the coach is protecting the player at the moment. How much before he finally says, yeah, this is contract related, it's out of my hands?
I will say, if there's a player to do this, Ja'Marr and Joe have played a lot of football together.
Exactly.
You don't have to get that timing down. You don't have to get that chemistry.
Sure.
They have that down. So
right.
You'd like to see him out there, but I don't think it's hurting the offense as much as when he's out there, they'll be fine. Okay. Enough about the guy who didn't practice.
Yeah.
By the way, there are other guys who didn't practice,
yeah.
but I don't think they're sitting in.
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson didn't practice. T was limited. We knew those things. It's all part of getting the veterans some rest early so they're ready later. But the guys who were out there, I thought the young wide receivers, which Zac Taylor had said this was their opportunity and we wanted to see something out of them. Andre Yosevach had a good day.
Great day.
Jermaine Burton had a couple great catches, and Shedrick Jackson also had some good catches.
Yeah, and let's not forget, it was I believe it was the last Joe Burrow press conference before we broke for the summer, where he mentioned some wide receivers that are trying to fill that role. And he mentioned Shedrick Jackson, of all people, by name. He was about 1 or 3 or 4, but when Joe Burrow names you by name, you're on the Joe Burrow radar. You're on the trust factor radar. And, that kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit. And when I did a 53-player roster projection, I didn't put him on it because I only put 6 receivers. But if they keep 7, I think he's got a legit chance to make it. He's probably going to get stashed on the practice squad. But to your point, he had a nice go route today, beat Dax Hill, made a nice catch laying out for it. Andre Yosevach was just ridiculous today. I mean, he caught some contested balls, caught one where somehow either he knocked DJ Turner's helmet off or DJ Turner had the helmet knocked off himself, and he's doing it out of the slot. I mean, I thought he was literally more of an outside receiver. That's when they'd put Chase maybe in the slot. They still could do that, but he's done it the last 2 days working out of the slot. Boy, if he does that, maybe he turns out to be the slot receiver, the replacement for Tyler Boyd.
Defensively, I don't think we've had a lot to talk about just about yet because we're still they don't have pads on.
Correct.
They're not doing, who has stood out for you think, on the defensive side?
Yeah, nobody. I mean, that's your point. I did see Sam Hubbard make a really nice play today. He set poor Amarius Mims, and don't take this over the edge. The kid's a rookie.
He's a rookie.
Right, but Sam set him up with a fake outside, back to the inside move. Marius froze, and he went right by him. Would have sacked Joe Burrow on that play. But again, that's a wily old vet setting up the kid. And that's probably good for Marius Mims to see moves like that because, listen, you're going to be facing some great pass blockers, and it still may be you. We saw Trent Brown, was on the rehab field as he's trying to get himself off the NFI list. And your hope is he's ready to practice at some point too and play in the opener. But if not, you got to get the rookie ready. And what a better way than going up against the Trey Hendricksons and Sam Hubbards of the world.
Reason I bring up defensive guys that stood out. I found myself looking at practice today, and those long catches seemed to come against a guy wearing number 23, maybe a little more than you would like.
Yeah.
I know it's early in camp. Dax hasn't played this position a whole lot, but for a guy that has a lot riding on this coming season, and they can't hit, they can't jam, they can't do any of that. Are you, I don't want to say worried, but is it raising some eyebrows that these long catches keep coming against the same guy?
No, for what you just said, and I never get worried until they put the pads on and defensive backs are allowed to get their hands on guys. That's when you really can tell, can a receiver who right now is getting free releases, can he get off that jam? Is the jam make a difference for the corner? If it's still happening when we get to that point, then yes, I'll be worried. And to your point, it's always going to be a worry till we see him prove it because it's a new spot for him to play, and they're hoping that he wins the starting job, for goodness sake. So that part would be a worry. I'm not worried yet. I want to see it all in pads. And to your point, yeah, the jam's a big deal.
All right, one more practice this week before they have Saturday off. We'll be here, and as always, keep updated. Local12.com/sports with the Skinny Podcast as training camp rolling right along.